Are you a hedgehog or a fox? In his famous essay, The Hedgehog and the Fox, Isaiah Berlin divided the world into hedgehogs and foxes based upon an ancient Greek parable. The fox knows many things, but the hedgehog knows one big thing. The fox is a cunning creature, able to devise a myriad of complex strategies for sneak attacks upon the hedgehog. Day in and day out, the fox circles around the hedgehog's dens, waiting for the perfect moment to pounce. Fast, sleek, beautiful, fleet of foot, and crafty, the fox looks like the sure winner. The hedgehog, on the other hand, is a dowdier creature, looking like a genetic mix up between the porcupine and a small armadillo. He waddles along, going about his simple day, searching for lunch and taking care of his home. The fox waits in cunning silence at the juncture in the trail. The hedgehog, minding his own business, wanders right into the path of the fox. Aha! I've got you now, thinks the fox. He leaps out, bounding across the ground, lightning fast. The little hedgehog, sensing danger, looks up and thinks, here we go again. Will he ever learn? Rolling up into a perfect little ball, the hedgehog becomes a sphere of sharp spikes pointing outward in all directions. The fox, bounding towards his prey, sees the hedgehog defense and calls off the attack. Retreating back into the forest, the fox begins to calculate a new line of attack. Each day, some version of this battle between the hedgehog and the fox takes place, and despite the greater cunning of the fox, the hedgehog always wins. So this is the concept of hedgehog that was devised by Jim Collins and his team of researchers for his book Good to Great. And what they were trying to do was essentially see what are the concepts, what are the things that a good company, a company that is decent and it's going decently well, can create for themselves in order to grow and become great, right? And becoming great can be, for anything, for service, for anything that they want to be. So that was the idea, and one of the concepts that they came about, or they kind of simplified, was hedgehog concept. Now the idea of hedgehog concept is very simple, that uh, among all of the variables that uh, affect a company and the industry and all of these things, what matters are probably like simple few things, like half a dozen things that really come together. And once you understand that hedgehog concept, you can do the same thing again and again. You just stick to that concept, stick to that formula, stick to that recipe, and when you do that, you grow and you improve, and you grow and you improve, and you grow and you improve continuously. And so that's what Jim and his team really found out, that the great companies, they were not very smart, they were not very different or unique or anything like that. They just understood at its core what the customers wanted and what makes their business run, right? When they understood the basic principle, the basic idea, they simplified it into a simple recipe or set of steps that they needed to take. And when they took those steps again and again and again, and kept like a basic idea in mind, that resulted in explosive growth for them, compounding their efforts multifold. And this story kind of extrapolates, or gives us a clue into what really is possible. So Berlin extrapolated from this little parable to divide people into two basic groups: foxes and hedgehogs. Foxes pursue many ends at the same time and see the world in all its complexity. They are scattered or diffused, moving on many levels, says Berlin, never integrating their thinking into one overall concept or unifying vision. Hedgehogs, on the other hand, simplify a complex world into a single organizing idea, a basic principle or concept that unifies and guides everything. It doesn't matter how complex the world, a hedgehog reduces all challenges and dilemmas to simple, indeed almost simplistic hedgehog ideas. For a hedgehog, anything that does not somehow relate to the hedgehog idea holds no relevance. So this is again the so it includes the discipline, because when you start executing it, you really need to have that discipline that, hey, like, this is my idea, this is the hedgehog idea, and then we're not going to deviate from it again and again and again. We've understood the world, we've understood the mechanics of the business, and this is what we've come up with, and we'll stick to this until our recipe breaks at any point, right? Whereas foxes or other people in the business or competition who do not understand this concept of hedgehog, this idea of hedgehog concept, they keep on trying new tactics, new strategies. They keep on shifting every year. They keep on putting up different goals from the past management and so on. And because of those changes, it creates a lot of friction within the company, and they don't create results for themselves. So one simple unifying idea that creates the economic growth as well as unifies the team in one together. And there's like a set of steps that they need to do, which is the recipe of the business, and they just keep doing that over and over and over again. So it's one of my favorite concepts. Again, something that I'm applying to my own life with this, these videos and using YouTube. I was like, hey, I'm a teacher. My simplifying idea is that I can teach really well. I can teach business really well, and I need to, gain leverage. And so this is my medium. I need to just put in one video a day, every day, and when I do that, I'm sure I will grow as a teacher, right? So let's see how that comes around over the years. But the idea is that is my hedgehog concept. I don't want to change this until unless it breaks, until unless AI takes over completely and it doesn't need me. But till that point, I think this is still going to work, and that's the hedgehog concept that I'm running behind. Now, the essential strategic difference between good to great and comparison companies lay in two fundamental distinctions. Now, comparison companies is something that Jim Collins and his team did because it was a very it was a social science study, but still very data oriented. And so there were good to great companies, so companies that went from good to great, and they were like breakout successes, and all the other comparison companies is what they're calling essentially the competition. First, good to great companies founded their strategies on deep understanding along three key dimensions, right? So, three key dimensions, what they came to call as three circles. We're going to be talking about the three circles in a second. So, what they found was very cool, that the hedgehog concept, as I said, is also broken down further into three different circles. Second, the good to great companies translated that understanding into a simple crystalline concept that guided all their efforts, hence the term hedgehog concept. A hedgehog concept is a simple crystalline concept that flows from deep understanding about the intersection of the following three circles. What can you be the best in the world at? Okay, so really important. So it's very similar to Ikigai, very similar to, Ikigai and the six circles or eight circle concept that Ikigai kind of promotes. But I found this to be even simpler and to be more economically and even mentally simpler. So, what can you be the best at in the world at? So again, if you've watched my Michael Porter's idea, I would not say best, but I would rather say uniquely best, right? So because just the word best is not great. It does not allow you to it becomes like you're one upping someone else, and when you one up someone else, they can also become best if they invest in their work. But if you become uniquely best, right, then that gives you your differentiated advantage, because then no one can copy you and you're not copying someone else. And so you have your own space in the marketplace and they have their own space in the marketplace. So maybe Jim was talking about this because he was taking like direct comparison, but from a strategy point of view, from a personal growth point of view, it's better to be uniquely best rather than just best. So what can you be uniquely best at the world at? That's my twist on this. And equally important is what you cannot be the best in the world at. So this is again saying that what is something that you don't want to pursue or can't pursue or should not pursue, right? Which essentially comes from when you decide what uniqueness you want to go for, automatically you have to say no to a lot of other things. So that's the first part. Second is what drives your economic engine. How do you make money, right? What drives the economic engine? That means, again, For most people, it's just number of sales, number of leads, all of those things. But then for complex businesses, that can further come down to even more complex, or say ratios, fractions, how many leads per sale, and so on and so forth, right? So that becomes the economic driver or economic engine for it. So for example, uh, like in this example, he's saying that profit per x, that is profit per x as in profit per square foot, profit per square meter, profit per seat for airlines, so all of those things can be the economic engine. So you're essentially going for that. And the third thing is, what are you deeply passionate about? Deeply passionate about is essentially something that you won't fail, or you won't get bored of when you keep doing it again and again, right? So again, these are quite subjective words, and that's the I mean, unfortunately, that's the thing with social science research, that subjective terms, when they make it into the research, it creates friction because you're not able to apply them very directly. But that's the irony. Like, even to get this particular concept in our hands is amazing. Now, what we think about it, what our perception about these particular words is, that's again, it's totally upon us, right? How do we define best is upon us. How do we define passionate is upon us. Now, passionate for me could be something that I can do for a very long time, that can be passionate for me. Or passionate for me could be something that gives me energy back, right? So teaching gives me energy back. That means the more I do it, the more fulfilled I feel, and so that is passionate for me, right? So this is slightly difficult to understand and to put into words directly, but the idea is this, that what are you deeply passionate about, and something that just ignites your passion, ignites your eyes, ignites the team, and something that you can keep doing again, 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 forever, right? So these are the three circles of the hedgehog concept. I'll just repeat them again so that you understand. Hedgehog concept is a simple crystalline concept that flows from deep understanding about the intersection of the following three circles. First is, what can you be the best in the world at, or as I said, what can you be uniquely best in the world at? And at the same time, what is something that you cannot do, shouldn't do, don't want to do, or can just, yeah, something that you just shouldn't do at all. Second, what drives your economic engine, right? What drives your economic engine? So how do you make money? How do you optimize that money, right? What should increase in order to make more money? What should decrease in order to make more money? And then the third is, what are you deeply passionate about? What are you deeply passionate about in terms of ongoing work? What keeps you excited? What keeps you engaged? What keeps the team together? And of course, something that you can do it for a very long time. So passion over here is more for longevity, I feel. So there are a couple of examples in this. I don't want to give these particular examples, but yes, like let me give my own examples as such. So for example, um, and so really important thing that Jim mentions here is uh, the first part, which is what can you be best at, or what can you be uniquely best at. It doesn't have to be in your existing business line of business at all, right? For example, he gives this he talks about, I don't know, Abbott and Upjohn and whatnot. But so all of those examples are here, but I'll tell you examples that I've thought about, which is uh, there's a company called Bajaj Motors in India, pretty big now, and they were the number one in scooters at one point in time. This is a family business, so the first generation, or someone's like the father essentially was running this, and he invented and ran the Bajaj scooters thing under Bajaj Motor, and it was the best selling two wheeler in India at its peak. But when the second generation came about, his name is Rajiv Bajaj. When he came about, he realized that there was a major shift that was happening in both India as well as other South Asian markets. South Asian as well as African markets, that everyone was moving towards motorcycles, right, or motorbikes. And when he noticed this, he realized that we can be uniquely good at it, but we need to shift completely from scooters, right? And so that understanding, that insight, led him to completely shift his business from, closing up his plant for the scooters and completely shutting off the production line for that, and moving completely to motorbikes, literally overnight, right? Probably happened in a span of a month, which was, considering when it was like the biggest seller of the company, shifting that overnight is just does not make sense, but it did happen and it did work for them, right? So but that came about when he understood that, hey, uh, this is the hedgehog concept, or this is the thing that we can be uniquely best at, and also at the same time the world is moving towards it as well, right? So that's uh, one thing. Now, another important thing that they highlight is the hedgehog concept requires severe standard of excellence. It's not just about building on strength and competence, but about understanding what your organization truly has the potential to be at the very best, to be the very best at, and sticking to it, right? So it needs to have that understanding that, hey, this is something that our organization can do really really good at the best, at the world class level, and no one else can even touch us over there, right? So once you have that internal understanding, that's when you get that confidence that, hey, like, how do we kind of go from there. Now the next one is economic engine. Again, I'm not going to talk too much in detail because that's there in the in the book, but yeah, there's like a couple of examples over here which are pretty cool. So you can just get the book. I'll put the link of the book in the description. So once you get that book, you'll have a better understanding of it, right? So over here he says that the central point is that each good to great company attained deep understanding of the key drivers in its economic engine and built its system in accordance with this understanding. That said, however, we did notice one particularly provocative form of economic insight that every good to great company attained: the notion of a single economic denominator. Think about it from the in terms of the following question: if you could pick one and only one ratio, say profit per x, uh, to systematically increase over time, what x would have the greatest and most sustainable impact on your economic engine, right? So he's saying that profit per x, that is how do you make profit and what makes that profit, when you systematically understand it and increase it over time, that's what your economic denominator or driver is, right? So, for example, Walgreens, for it was profit to store initially, but they shifted it to profit per customer visit. And when they shifted it to per customer visit, all they need to optimize for how do they get more customers in the door, and what all different services they can offer at a higher premium, or rather at a convenience, but still like the marginal utility was higher. So when they shifted, their profit soared because they were able to get the customers in again and again and again. So a lot of repeats, and at the same time they were earning more through that, right? So that was an important understanding that Walgreens had for their time. Again, I don't know where these companies are, because unfortunately I know of their names, and I've read about them and all of these things, but I don't know how they actually function on ground, right? So yeah, I don't even know how they're doing today, but yeah, something that is there. uh, Now, the triumph of understanding over bravado. Now this is important, uh, because this applies to us as well. For the comparison companies, the exact same world that had become so simple and clear to the good to great companies remained complex and shrouded in mist. Why? For two reasons. First, the comparison companies never asked the right questions. Really important. Really important. The questions prompted by the three circles. So they really were, doing it wrong. They were not asking the right questions that three circles prompted the good to great companies for. And then the second was they set their goals and strategies more from bravado than from understanding. What that means is it was coming out of uh, it was coming from arrogance rather than understanding that hey, this is something that we can achieve and we can achieve easily. So it was not happening over there, right? So yeah, so this is what hedgehog concept is. It's a beautiful, beautiful concept that you could apply, and you should apply to your own business. There's this really cool concept that they also mention over here, which I'm just gonna mention very quickly, which is this idea of a council, right? uh, Jim says that the good to great companies ended up having this sort of a council where there was a team of independent thinkers. Doesn't matter what their position was in their business, in the business, but they would come together. Usually, it would be the executive team, but it could be anyone with independent, free flowing thinking, and they would come in once and they would just discuss about the business and what's going right, what's going wrong, and really debate with each other without ever feeling bad or getting angry or anything like that. And when they did that, they came up with better results, they came up with better understanding, they came up with better focus and clearer execution steps. And the same concept of the council is also mentioned by Pixar, or the chairperson of Pixar, Ed Catmull. He wrote it in his book Creativity Inc., and he named it the Brain Trust. I like that name better, but the council is also good, right? So, but it's the same concept that hey, we need these meetings where there are people who can talk shit to each other but on the point. That means they're all collectively helping the business move forward and get better and get stronger, but it needs to be a space where they can openly voice their ideas and what they are thinking about the business, and that will lead to better understanding, and understanding that is closer to the truth. And that is how you would get to your hedgehog concept as well. You can't get to the hedgehog concept just sitting in a room and thinking about it all by yourself. You might get to 70% there, 60% there, but the best thing happens when people come in the room together, and that's where they learn, right? That's where they kind of talk to each other very openly about the challenges that the company is facing, and get it to a reasonably good level, right? So I'll leave it to you over here. This is again coming from this beautiful book called Good to Great. So you should definitely read it. I've put the link in the description. It would be really great if you go and buy it, and it would help support me as well in the at no additional cost to you. And yeah, I will see you in the next one. Please do follow for more concepts and strategies like this in your business. See you. Bye.